All right, Cedric, we have a very specific assignment today, and this is just about how to navigate the left hand and right hand coordination for the pre chorus for Taking It to the Streets. We're back to using the left hand for the regular part of the chord progression. And remember, it's a G bass note, and we talked a little bit about this dissonance factor, and that it's using a technique called pedaling the bass. It's just a stationary bass note. Stationary in that tonally, the pitch doesn't change. But rhythmically, you could kind of play with it a little bit. You can kind of go like. But at the very minimum, you want to just kind of hold it as whole notes, so 4 beats each. But I just was squaring off the timing, meaning that I was just playing the G at the beginning of each measure like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would create a little bit of a rhythmic conflict because of the syncopated rhythm of the right hand. It would sound like this. I think it sounds a little disruptive. I think it's better to kind of keep the syncopation in the left hand also. So I think I heard you do it like this today, and I would just stick with it. Something like this. Meaning that you were kind of playing the left hand and right hand synchronously, and I would just stick with that. So let's just jump right to the hard part. That's the right hand. Left hand is. Now, in context, that rhythm sounds like this, like against a quarter note beat. It'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So, choices are, and you could do what feels best for you. You can just do the rhythm that you were playing all week with your right hand, which is like. And figure out how to coordinate those two, which could be a little tricky. It would sound something like this. Or you could play steady quarter notes with your right hand and then play all the syncopation in your left hand, and that would sound like this. We talked a little bit about this today, where you can't think of it as two separate things because it would be very difficult to navigate. It would be better to think of it as one big thing and just identify how these rhythms overlap. So, for example, if you use the second example, the one I just played, you would notice that the first rhythms overlap right away. You have one by itself, so you have, and then you have another one together, and then a single, and then all those singles, and then together, then a single, and then a single. So you could kind of like, map that out and then just kind of figure out how to kind of work your way through it till you get from the beginning to the end, and you just have to practice it like anything else. Um, or you can do something that the first example that I gave you, which is like where both hands are playing almost the same rhythm, which ends up being a little bit easier because they're almost playing the same rhythm. Oh, sorry. I played what I just played. Be like this. So it's just almost exactly the same thing, except that the bass notes are taking a break. So imagine you were playing everything exactly the same. That would not work. So imagine that, but then you're taking some away. So this would be with everything being exactly the same, which again is too much. So start here. And remember, that's the easiest scenario because that's the example of patting your head, rubbing your stomach, and then when you end up failing at that, both hands end up doing the same thing. So left hand, right hand doing the same thing on the piano is easy because they're mirroring each other, doing exactly the same thing. So one step removed from that would be where you omit some of what the left hand is doing. So it'd be like this. And you could be discretionary with this. I want to say that again because you're not used to me saying this. You could be discretionary with this. You don't have to play exactly what I just played. And I said this a little bit earlier, your lesson, where I bet you Michael McDonald does it a little bit differently each time because he's probably feeling it a little bit differently each time. So I want to encourage some of that in you to culture some of your musicianship and have you mess around and try new things and see what you come up with. So I will trust your judgment this week. Try a few of these things. And then when I see you next week, I'll take a listen and see what I think works best. Have a great week.